Hi there guys, Chris and Decisive Coaching. So stacking the odds in favour of you getting through, finding your way through and quitting addictions, overcoming that challenge of addictions. So in order for us to overcome our addictions and stacking the odds in favour of us beating addictions, then we have to, firstly, number one, is to challenge certain beliefs around just the whole concept of addiction. Because if we don't at least challenge our beliefs around addiction, and we are operating from a set of beliefs that can potentially restrict our ability to find our way through addiction, then of course we need to stack the odds in our favour. Why wouldn't you challenge your beliefs? And of course it's something that people in all subjects and all contexts and all different areas of life, they struggle to really challenge what they already believe about any subject. So what I'm going to suggest is going to be controversial, and it's most certainly going to challenge what you already currently believe about addiction. But if you do, I promise you that if you do at least challenge what you currently believe, then it will most certainly stack the odds in favour of you finding your way through this. So I'm going to suggest to you that the substances, the vehicles, I'm going to call them vehicles. Smoking is a vehicle, cocaine is a vehicle, food is a vehicle, porn is a vehicle, being controlling, maybe, is a vehicle, narcissism is a vehicle, codependency is a vehicle. They're all addictions. They all have something in common, all of the above. Smoking, there's lots, isn't there? Lots of substances, lots of behaviours, but they all have something in common, and that is when we partake in them for long periods, repeated periods of time through our life, it can have us feel good, or at least comfortable in the moment, but it never lasts. It's never long lasting is the problem, isn't it? Of course, it hurts and harms other people as well, not just us. Is that other people are affected, because really a problematic addiction is when other people, not just us, other people are affected, and it's not a sustainable way of meeting our needs. So I suggest that addiction, it's not the vehicle, it's not the substance, it's not the behaviour, it's not the thing ultimately is the problem. So if you're somebody that's always believed that, God, it's this stuff, it gets a hold of me, and once I've had it and that's it, I just can't stop. Now you're going to see it maybe from a different point of view, and it most certainly helped me, because when I changed my beliefs around addictions that I had to cocaine, I had addictions to porn, I had addictions to alcohol, I had addictions to weed, not quite so bad, however. It still can be a problem if you're having too much of anything. You can drink too much water and you're drowned, by the way. So you can smoke too much weed, and sometimes it can get the better of you, can't it? And it meets certain needs, if it meets certain combinations of needs, which is what I'm going to talk to you briefly about today. It's going to perhaps change your perspective, give you a different sense of where you are and how much control you do actually have over eradicating addiction. So that's the first statement that I'm going to make. That's the controversial statement I'm going to suggest to you. I'm not going to absolutely say that it's true, by the way, because it's only true for me. It might not necessarily be true to you or other people. I believe it's true because it worked for me, and it worked for hundreds and hundreds of people over the last 12, 13 years now that I've been helping with addictions. And as soon as they adopted a new set of beliefs and a new set of strategies, then it most certainly helped them too. So we need to, first of all, with any finding our way through from where we are now and have always been, where it's a problem, to ultimately where it is that we want to be, we have to have a framework, a model of understanding why we do everything that we do in the first place. We have to know all of the what are these behaviors, what's behind these behaviors, okay? Because when I say that I don't believe it's the substance that's actually addictive, I believe the substance, or the vehicle that we use the vehicle to go from not having certain needs met to having them met. So I'm going to explain to you exactly what I'm waffling on about right now. So what we have here, this is what I believe. It's not everybody's opinion, I'm sure, but it happens to work in so many different areas of life with myself and for clients that I work with on a regular basis, regardless of their problem, whatever their life problem. It's really handy to know the mechanics, what's going on under the hood, what's going on within the system, within the workings of us, what gets us to do all of the things that we do, what gets us to snort cocaine in the first place, what gets us to keep repeatedly eating in the first place, what is it that gets us to drink alcohol on a regular basis, and we get into that pattern, into a rut, and we just feel that we can't stop doing it anymore. It's when it becomes a problem, is when we feel that we need it, rather than we can just want it whenever we're wanting it. If we just want it, we know that we're in control of it and it's not controlling us. Okay, so I'm talking about addictions where it's really becoming a problem. So it's not just affecting you and your life and your health, but it's also having an impact on the people perhaps in your life as well. That's when it really starts becoming a problem, is when other people are affected as well. Okay, so let's just pick one as an example to just whiz through this. Let's just pick one vehicle that we use to go from not having our needs met to having our needs met. Let's take, it's right in the middle there, cocaine. Okay, so cocaine is a vehicle that gets us to feel good. It gets us to not feel bad and into a place of feeling good. See, ultimately, that's the reason why we take it. And of course, everyone will take it for different reasons. But I'm here to tell you now that there isn't that many reasons. Okay, very few patterns. So I'm going to run through these needs. The first four I'm going to start with on this. Probably the only four really that we need to talk about. Okay, these four here. Certainty. All human beings have a need for certainty. That need to feel at least comfortable. It's our survival needs. It's to have shelter, to have food, to have water, to have at least some base level of comfort. Uncertainty. It's a paradoxical need. It's the opposite of certainty, because when we have too much certainty, when we're too comfortable, when things are too predictable, when things are too like the same, when things become a bit samey, it becomes too kind of predictable really. When things become, life becomes too comfortable and certain, we start getting a bit bored, don't we? Of course, when we get a little bit bored, what's really happening there is there's a need that's cropping up now. It's bubbling away inside of us now that we need change, we need stimulus, we need resistance, we need something to happen that breaks up the monotony of the boredom. And of course, the boredom ultimately is just too much certainty in a certain area of life. So that's what that feeling is, that's what that need is. There's a need inside that needs change. So we can't just sit there staring at a blank wall in a square boxed room too long. I mean, we'll be very comfortable, we'll be very certain, we'll be very safe, but so safe, so certain that it becomes boring, and now we have to move and we have to change. That's our need for uncertainty kicking in, or resistance. We need some kind of change, resistance, or stimulus. So all human beings have a need for certainty, and simultaneously we have a need for uncertainty. Significance. We all have a need for significance. Significance ultimately is the need for our unique identity or purpose. The need that we feel important, that we have some kind of role in life, like we are unique from everybody else. So it gives us our sense of individuality, okay, an individual identity. Then of course all human beings have a need for love stroke connection. It's a double-barrel one there, because ultimately we're all looking and searching really for love, but quite often people do tend to just settle for connection because of past history and stories and circumstances and relationships. But love can sometimes represent a little bit of fear. Love can represent a bit of uncertainty. So we kind of substitute love for connection. But either way, love or connection is a human need, something that we all have to have. The last two, which I will just go through, so it doesn't leave you kind of wondering. Growth is that internal need that we have to develop our knowledge and our understanding, and just generally, like mentally, emotionally, spiritually and physically, we have a need to grow sometimes when we get bored, when our life feels like it's not going forwards. That's really just a feeling that we need to expand our mind and expand our emotional sense, and maybe even venture into and allow perhaps the idea of the invisibleness, the invisible world, software, spiritual needs, whatever you want to call it. There is that need, that itch that all human beings eventually get going through their lives in different areas, different times of our lives. And then of course contribution. Contribution is that need that we have to give. Like for example at Christmas, when we've received all of our presents and our gifts, we kind of still have that excitement because we know that we've got our gifts to give to other people, and quite often that can be just as nice, if not better, isn't it, sometimes. So we have a need to grow, and of course, why is it? What's the purpose for us growing and becoming better? Ultimately is so that we have more to give, because giving beyond ourselves is what many believe, and I believe also, is really, it gives us the meaning to life. Those last two, the software needs, ultimately that gives us the meaning to our life. And you'll notice the first four are really just of our hardware. Hardware represents our physical body, our nervous system. Our nervous system requires certainty. It also requires uncertainty, which is like stimulus and change. It also requires a feeling of significance and uniqueness. And of course, it requires a sense of love and connection with other human beings. Okay, so how does this all apply to addictions? You may well be starting to work this one out for yourself. So before I go into this, I'm going to make a little note down here that generally speaking, there are three types of vehicles. There's a positive, there's a neutral, and there of course is a negative. Okay, positive, neutral and negative. These are the three types of vehicles. Remember what a vehicle is? Just in case you forget, the vehicle is something that we, like a substance or a behavior that we will utilize, consume or mobilize to go from not having the need met to having the need met. Remember the one that we're going to use as an example, cocaine. What needs does cocaine meet? Oh, actually, just before I go any further, let's make another note over this side. Okay, that if we take a vehicle, right? Excuse my writing, it's absolutely rubbish. Let's take a vehicle. If a vehicle meets at least 3 needs, that's actually what makes it an addiction. Okay. So a vehicle that meets 3 needs equals addiction. So if a vehicle meets at least 3, not just 3, at least 3 or more, then that's what actually makes it an addiction. And there's no exceptions to the rule on this one. Been working with this model for 12, 13, I think time's actually flying more than that. I get lost with the time, to be honest. Probably 13, 14 years now I've been using this model to help not just myself but other people. And I've never found an exception to this rule. It's whatever combination of these needs that we have to a behaviour, to a vehicle, to a substance. If there's at least three needs are met, for example, if cocaine meets 3 of your needs, it's an addiction. And of course an addiction is a very difficult thing to quit, isn't it? But it's nice to know this, gives you an advantage. It's a very positive advantage by understanding yourself, is that ultimately at the end of this you're going to realise that all we really need to do is swap our negative vehicles to positive vehicles to meet the same needs. Because as long as we meet the needs, create new neural pathways in the brain, after a period of time the old neural pathways that uses, say for example, cocaine to meet those needs, the old pathways die off, the new ones take hold, and now all of a sudden we're using more positive vehicles to meet the same set of needs. Does that make sense? I do hope so. So cocaine, for some people, gives them a sense of control, doesn't it? Gives them more control. If you don't feel particularly in control of your life and the people in your life, and when you take cocaine, it gives you a sense of control. It's really just meeting your needs for certainty. Okay. Here's one that it most definitely probably will meet when you take cocaine. Most certainly gives you a sense of change, doesn't it? Stimulus. Okay, how it changes the effects of your chemistry, your biochemistry, just the change in difference, the difference between sober and cocaine, that's called change. You're absolutely sure that it most definitely 100% will make you feel more stimulated, as in more uncertainty. It will also give you a sense more of certainty, especially if it gives you a sense of control. What else does cocaine give you? You may well be somebody that you may not. Okay, this is probably one where it will affect different people in different ways. Significance. Remember, significance is that feeling, that need that we all have to be perhaps unique and special, or maybe better than other people, if it's like a negative vehicle for you, if you like. I mean, it's most definitely a negative vehicle long term anyway, isn't it? It's easily obtainable nowadays because it's everywhere and a lot of people are using it, but it's not a sustainable one because it's almost every other week. It's almost every other week. It's so sad that I hear somebody that is really kind of into cocaine and mixing in the circles of the cocaine world. It's almost at least every other month that you hear of somebody committing suicide. So it's not sustainable. Not a sustainable way of living, most certainly. But it's very obtainable. These needs are met and they're very obtainable, but not sustainable. Remember that one. It's obtainable because you'll find all of these ones, all of the negative vehicles that you can use to meet any of these needs, any of these certainly above this line, they're always obtainable. Can't quite fit that in. Obtainable. They're always obtainable. Negative vehicles, negative things that we use to meet our needs, they're always really easily obtainable, but they're very, very unlikely that they are sustainable. So for many people, most certainly I can relate myself, I would have most certainly have got certainty. Certainty would have been met with cocaine. Uncertainty would most definitely have been met with cocaine. Significance was most certainly met using cocaine for me. Love and connection, feeling like elated, when it changes, it really amplifies the biochemistry and the endorphins, especially the oxytocin, especially the dopamine. It's really going to ramp it right the way up, and you're going to feel very connected to other people and even yourself. 4 needs. That's 4 needs. We only need 3 for it to be an addiction that you really struggle to get rid of. It's a very... I'm not saying that it's not easy to stop this stuff. It's not. Even food, alcohol, smoking. But ultimately they're all the same. They are just vehicles that get us to meet our needs. And they all tend to be easy. They are actually very easy. Not particularly cheap, but they are very easy. We seem to find the money for it, don't we? Quite easily we find the money if it's something that we feel that we really need. So, significance, love and connection, uncertainty and certainty, all met by a little line of white powder. Crazy, right? And it just happens to be very obtainably, easily done. When I say it's obtainable and it's easy, what I mean by that is when we look at some positive means, positive ways that we can meet our needs instead of using cocaine. Because as long as it meets the same needs, on at least the same-ish level, cocaine can be quite extreme in the beginning, but even that wears off and you find that you're either having to have more of it at a time, or it just starts wearing off and it starts really becoming a problem then. So we start having maybe cocaine and other stuff, and we might even up the ante and go to something perhaps a little bit stronger. But if we was to take, let's just pick a few examples, alternatives that meet the same needs. I'm just going to go with, let's say, exercise. It's always the answer to most problems, isn't it? Exercise. So exercise. Some people will say, oh yeah, but I don't really like it. It's hard work. It's painful. It's supposed to be. It's supposed to be, because that's when you're starting to access a sense more of growth. Okay. Growing for many people in this crazy world, including myself and most of my life, was difficult. Not fitting in with others is difficult. Fitting in with others is easy. Going against what the world and your childhood has tried to make you be, it's difficult, but it's rewarding. It's very rewarding. So things that are really easily obtainable, you'll find that quite often they're not particularly good for you long term. When something's easy, you're not really growing, and you're most certainly not going to contribute. So exercise is a very good one to give us a sense of certainty and being in control of our life. But we have to do it long enough for it to take root. Uncertainty. Exercise again. Strange, isn't it? Exercise just happens to change the way you feel. Stimulating. Resistance. We have to have resistance pushing back on us in the world. If we haven't got resistance pushing back on us, we're not at least searching for some healthy resistance to push back at us in life, then we find that we are going to pay the price. We're going to get weak, we're going to get mentally weak, we're going to get emotionally weak, and we're going to get physically weaker. Okay. Significance. What can we do to feel significant? Well, first of all, if we are exercising to meet our needs for certainty, and we're exercising our need to meet our needs for uncertainty, and we start feeling the benefits, and we start actually seeing the benefits, and others outside of you start seeing the benefits, and they see that you are no longer using cocaine, that ultimately makes us unique, especially in comparison to the people that you have perhaps been associating with, and the people that are still doing those types of things, taking cocaine and drugs and whatnot. You will most certainly be significant in the eyes of them, and you will most certainly be significant in the eyes of loved ones and people that care. people that worry. So you will automatically start feeling significant in the eyes of other people. And then we can look in the mirror and say, do I really now feel significant for overcoming and taking the steps towards me challenging my addictions? You'd be amazed. It's actually a good sense, it's a good vehicle for meeting your needs for significance, and that is to have self-respect, to validate oneself, look at yourself, speak to yourself, communicate with yourself in a loving, compassionate, in a way that you validate and approve yourself. Give yourself the thumbs up. Have good conversations inside of yourself. Tell yourself how proud you are of yourself. Sounds a little bit strange, but it's true. Love and connection. The very best vehicle to meet our needs for love and connection is to develop a love for oneself, to be able to connect with yourself in a compassionate and an empathic way. Certainty. Let's go back to certainty. The number one most powerful vehicle of meeting our needs for certainty is having belief in oneself. Belief in oneself. Faith in oneself. Belief and faith in oneself that you know, no matter what, how many times it's going to take you to crack this, that you are going to do it. Because if others can do it, you can do it. We just stack the odds in our favour by understanding why the fuck are we doing it in the first place. Uncertainty. Yeah, exercise. You don't have to stick with just exercise. You can do things that just challenge yourself. Sometimes people like doing things that are a bit scary. I love doing things that are scary. You can go theme parks. It's a really good, gets that adrenaline pumping, gets those endorphins pumping in the brain, doesn't it, in the body. But you know that you're going to be breathing fresh air, whizzing around on a roller coaster, do things that scare you, get a mountain bike and go tearing through the woods. Whatever it is, as long as it makes you feel scared in a productive and a positive way. Done significance, love and connection. Done that one as well. Love and approve oneself. Now, if you're meeting all your needs for like certainty, uncertainty, significance, all using positive vehicles, if you're using positive vehicles to meet your needs for certainty, uncertainty, significance. So also, let's add another one for significance, is to speak well of others. Speaking well of others. Speaking good of others. When other people are slagging and bitching everyone off, speak well of others, especially if you genuinely believe that you do appreciate a certain person. Don't go along with other people. Think for yourself, have your own opinions and voice your own opinions and say, actually, no, I like him, I like her, they're fine. Speak well of other people. If you speak well of other people, they will speak well of you. Gives you a good sense of significance. You can do, maybe I went from doing all sorts of crazy shit to meeting my needs for significance, but it was all just obtainable but not sustainable. It never lasted. But now, of course, I do things that are more sort of helping other people. Gives me a good sense of significance and uniqueness. Okay. Doesn't make me better than anyone else. It makes me unequal to anyone else, but it gives me a sense of purpose. So I live my life now, if you think about it now, if we live our life growing, if we just focus just on this one here, if we just focus on growth, that one, if we just focus on growing, we automatically tick all of these in on a high level. We just have to find the vehicles, just use the vehicles. There's an abundance of positive ways, positive actions, positive behaviours, positive beliefs to adopt in our lives that meet all of these needs. Gives us a sense that we're growing. If we're growing, it means that we're automatically meeting those top 4 on a high level. And then of course we then have to choose, what are we going to do with this growth? What are we going to do with this growing life that I am becoming right now? And that's when it will be down to you. How are you going to contribute that? So I've kind of found my way in a full circle, is that now I grow, and the reason that I grow, the reason that I have, that I can't wait to get up every morning to speak to people, to plant little seeds and just general conversations that I'm having with everyone that I know and everyone that I meet. I generally try and throw a little seed in to maybe add some value that will contribute, that will add value to other people's lives. Making this video right now, it's a form of me contributing. Gives me a sense of purpose, and it's sustainable. It's very easily obtainable for me now, and it's sustainable. So I hope that's helped, guys. I hope you have a better understanding, and perhaps a different understanding now, of addiction, of why you may be partaking in consuming certain substances or having certain behaviors and you're struggling to stop it. Just remember that it's not the behavior, it's not the substance, it's not the cocaine, it's not the alcohol. It's what are the needs being met by that substance and that behavior. Hope that helped, guys. And if you want a full version of the 6 human needs, each one individual broken down, then of course I'll leave the link underneath this video. Thanks very much. Thanks for your time and your attention and your patience, and I'll see you again on the next video. See you soon. Bye.